Hello, this is Joel over at Just Document Preparation, and today I want to talk about what is a will, and a living trust. So the terms wills, living trusts, a lot of people, if you don't have those documents completed, may assume that those are all the same thing, when in California they are all in fact very different things. And depending on your situation and what you're trying to accomplish, you're going to want to understand what specifically you need to have prepared for your end of life, or as you're approaching that, or if you just want to simply get your estate planning in order. Estate planning is a general term that's used for estate, your person and your property, and planning what are you going to do with those in terms of distribution if something happens, who's going to be in charge, and the documents that accompany to facilitate those wishes is essentially what estate planning is. So, as mentioned, a will, and a living trust. Those are all elements and documents of estate planning, but they're all very different. So a top level overview is a will, is a document that's going to be prepared where somebody designates an executor, the person who's going to facilitate the distribution and the wishes of that will. And they're going to designate their beneficiaries. Who do I want to receive the specific gifts? On there, they can list real property, they can list personal property, all of their wishes. Wills are fairly simple to complete, but in California, depending on the total value of your estate, meaning your real property, personal property, all your assets added together, it's a pretty low threshold where you may still have to go to a probate court process with the will. It doesn't mean that the court's going to decide to do something different than the will. It just means that the will as itself was not strong enough to avoid probate. So in those situations, people will typically petition the court to have the will admitted, and then the executor be appointed, and then the probate process will go through. And in most cases, the will be facilitated and executed, but it's still going by way of the probate court process. A living will is also commonly referred to or interchanged with an advanced healthcare directive or a medical power of attorney. So a living will is where somebody can designate end of care wishes and medical treatments, life support, things of that nature, in case they cannot communicate with their healthcare provider for treatments and end-of-life care. So this is completely separate of a will. A living will, think of it more specifically to medical. And then lastly, a living trust. A living trust is actually a separate legal entity. It's set up, and then it can take ownership of real property, personal property, financial accounts, things of this nature. Commonly in California, revocable or amendable living trusts are set up to avoid the probate process. So different than a will by itself, which may have to go through probate court. In most cases, when a living trust is set up correctly to avoid probate, it does just that. Keeps the property transfers and all of those elements out of the court. They can be done with deeds, documents, and transfer paperwork. Part of living trust packages usually also include what's known as a pour-over will, which also encompasses personal property and other things to be transferred. And as we mentioned before, the living will or the advanced healthcare directive and power of attorneys. So the living trust is a lot more comprehensive than the other end of the spectrum, which would just be a living will or a standalone will by itself. So hopefully that clears up any questions. At Just Document Preparation since 1996, we complete standalone wills. We do power of attorneys, medical power of attorneys, advanced healthcare directives, as they're formally called, all by themselves, or most people that we assist with estate planning when they're deciding and have decided to take control, they request that we prepare living trust packages, which include the living trust, a pour-over will, advanced healthcare directive, power of attorneys, and property deeds all in one complete package. So if you've been thinking about it and you know it's time, or you think it's time to have your living trust or any other documents prepared, you can reach out to us by a contact form on our website. You can give us a call, and we can definitely tell you anything related to our service for living trusts and those documents. Thank you for watching.